All right, welcome back. Now let's talk about something else, different from politics, of course. On Wednesday, January the 23rd, President Muhammadu Buhari did something historic when he became the first Nigerian president to sign the Disability Bill into law. The Discrimination Against Persons with Disabilities Prohibition Act sees corporate entities and individuals face tough sanctions if found guilty of discriminating against persons with impairments. The Act prohibits all forms of discrimination on ground of disability and imposes a fine now of up to 1 million naira for corporate bodies and 100,000 naira for individuals, or a term of 6 months imprisonment for violation concurrently. It also provides for a 5-year transitional period within which public buildings, structures, and automobile are to be modified to be accessible and usable by persons with disabilities, including those on wheelchairs. It also notes that discrimination is prohibited in public transportation facilities, and service providers are to make provision for the physically, visually, and hearing impaired and all persons, however so challenged. This applies now to seaports, railways, and airport facilities. Now, the rights and privileges include education, healthcare, priority in accommodation, and emergencies. Furthermore, all public organizations are to reserve at least 5% of employment opportunities for these persons. Now, the National Commission for Persons with Disabilities is also established in Section 31 with Executive Secretary as the head. Joining me now to discuss this further is David Anyaele, who, of course, leads one of the organizations now on disability. David, thank you very much for joining us on the program. First, I know you have been at the forefront of the campaign now to get this bill signed into law. Now it is a reality. We now have a law in place. Tell me how you feel.
I feel excited. It's a thing of joy that we are witnessing the end of discrimination on the grounds of disability in Nigeria. We say the end because there is a law now in place that criminalizes all forms of discrimination on the grounds of disability, recognizing that Section 42 of the Nigerian Constitution prohibits discrimination on different grounds, but silent on the grounds of disability. This is our joy. This is our excitement.
And how significant is this for people living with disabilities?
Yeah, the people with disabilities, their families, they are all excited about this latest, regime of protection, the regime of inclusion, of participation, of contributing to the socio-economic development of the country. Because as you rightly says in the provisions of the Act made provision for 5% employment opportunity in public institutions. So what that means is that people with disabilities will go to school, they will have education, they will have access to healthcare, they will equally have access to employment, which is what every Nigerian is looking forward to. Every Nigerian is struggling to get education. Every Nigerian is struggling to get healthcare. Every Nigerian is struggling also to get employment. By so doing, people with disabilities' burden will minimize. Their participation in socio-economic activities will increase. That is what we have been struggling for the past 18 years. And we thank President Muhammadu Buhari for signing off this situation for us.
Let's take the issue of 5% employment. Do you think that will be very easy to enforce?
Of course, it is already there in CAMA. CAMA provides that every public organization must report the number of people with disabilities that are in their employment. So with this latest law now, it is now mandatory that they are going to report the number of people with disabilities they've hired working with them. So if people with disabilities are coming to such organizations to seek for employment and they discriminate against them, such individual or such organization will be liable. That's what the law says, and it remains like that. So as it is now, everybody with disability, if you have if you are qualified to take a particular job, all you need to do is to approach any organization, present your qualification, present your skills, and then wait for invitation for you to start work. You see, the situation we have in Nigeria is that even educated people with disabilities are minimal due to backlog of many years of exclusion in vocational training and education. So with this development, even if organizations call now for people with disabilities to come and take the job, you'll be surprised that you will not get people with disabilities that will come out to take the job based on criteria set out, because for years, since the foundation of this country, access to education for people with disabilities is minimal.
The transitional period now of 5 years, do you think, what do you expect to happen between now and then? You expect to see, people begin to make the move to comply. For instance, you expect to begin to see changes in buildings across the country, especially public buildings across the country, so that they become compliant of this new law?
The law provides that the Federal Minister of Information will sensitize the public and create awareness on the provisions of the law. So what that means is that between now and the 5 years moratorium, we will begin to sensitize, we will begin to create awareness, we will begin to draw attention of the public on the provisions of the law, so that they will do the adjustment. In fact, I call on all public organizations to begin now to conduct an audit of their processes, audit of the environment, audit of their goods and services, to identify disability gaps so as to close it between now and the 5 years moratorium which the bill has provided. Therefore, I strongly believe that this bill will be implemented to the letter, recognizing that no one is immune from acquiring disability. Disability is not a respecter of person. Anybody who knows my history and my background knows that I was not born with disability. I lost my 2 hands on a business trip while visiting Freetown, Sierra Leone, for a business. Before I know it, the rebel captured me, cut off my 2 hands, set me ablaze. It was by special grace of God that the Nigerian contingent of ECOMOG evacuated me back to Nigeria for medical treatment. I was confirmed stable. In the process of trying to secure rehabilitation and integration, I discovered that the system is closed for people with disabilities. That what spurred me to begin to add my voice, join other activists with disabilities to demand for this legislation. As such, any Nigerian under the influence of this program should note that he or she is not immune from getting disability. As I speak to you, we have former president that is living with disability. As I speak to you, we have different governors that have suffered one form of disability or the other. Therefore, disability is not a respecter of person. The earlier we begin to, adjust our thinking, our behavior, our attitude, changing the way we do things in order to comply with the provisions of this law, the better. On our part, as an organization of people with disabilities, we will monitor, we will evaluate, we will review compliance, and any organization we found to, misbehave towards the provisions of the Act, we have no other choice than to approach the court for necessary sanction.
All right, David Anyaele, thank you very much for your time, and thank you for joining us on the program.
Thank you so much.
Well, unfortunately, that's how much we can take on the program this week. We thank you very much for watching. But if you want to watch the program again, you can go to our website. It's tv360nigeria.com. You'll find this program and lots more there. You can also watch us on YouTube. It's youtube.com/TV360Nigeria. On Facebook, it's facebook.com/TV360 online. And of course, on Google Plus, it's at TV360 Nigeria. And our Twitter handle is at TV360 Nigeria. We thank you very much for watching again. I'll see you next week. I am Deji. Bye-bye.